We're breaking down one of the biggest myths in business, overnight success.
Like a marathon runner runs at a slower pace to a sprinter, but the marathon goes for further.
Welcome to the Social Edge podcast. I'm Isho.
I'm Georgia.
And today we're breaking down one of the biggest myths in business, overnight success.
So, everyone loves a good overnight success story.
They do.
But they don't always see the years of failures, mishaps going on in the background. So, like the come up, right?
That's it.
They see the end goal, they see the end result. They haven't seen the years of perseverance that have got to that point. So that's kind of what we're talking about today.
That's it. I'm very excited. Let's dive into it. So one of the biggest things is people believing in overnight success. So really, for you personally, what is your perspective on what people believe about overnight success?
I guess like it's not real. Yeah. Not many things are an overnight success. Like I bet the percentage of things that are actually a real overnight success is like very low in the whole world, right? Most things are a journey, or most things have evolved. Most things have like happened over time. And one thing about brands or businesses is that to make a brand that lasts, the journey is very often not instant.
Yeah.
And, maybe you're first coming to knowledge about a brand or a business, or even if they've just done a launch, right? So it might be a fresh launch, but it doesn't mean that the business is new, and it doesn't even mean that the concept is new. That like concept that has become the new business could have been someone's like idea 10 years ago. Most like businesses, brands, like anything that happens, it usually is like a seed, an idea, a thought way before it's ever become a success.
That's so interesting. It makes me think how everybody just believes in this rags to riches type of thought, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's just everybody just thinks it's an overnight. You post a TikTok or an Instagram or a YouTube video, it gets 1 million views and that's it, you're set. There's actually a lot more that goes in the groundworks behind the scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. So why do people believe in the myth of overnight success?
I think the challenge in this is seeing the momentary effect of years of creative work over a short period of time.
Yes.
Right? So, for example, in the earlier episode, go and check it out, we talked about how people put a lot of time and energy in research, following the trends. We have followed a lot of trends with eStudios and with the business. Some of them have hit, some of them haven't. But the ones that have hit, people think, oh, wow, these guys have got it right. They know what's going on. We don't. Actually, we're doing a lot of trial and error in the background to figure out what is the feedback loop that made it successful to then keep and doubling down on that.
Yeah, there's like a lot of learning for everyone who's successful.
Yeah.
There's a lot of learning going on in the background that's got them to the point of where they are today, which is success.
Yeah.
And most people who are successful probably wouldn't say to you that it happened overnight.
Absolutely not.
Also, I've heard this thing that most people who are successful probably wouldn't just say that they could just do it again. Like they almost feel like it's happened. Like they're lucky that it's happened, or like they probably know the strategy, so they could replicate it, but they wouldn't necessarily feel that they're like an expert or that they've nailed it. They just they tried something, it worked, they replicated, they kept trying, they pushed into it. Do you see what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. But then there's also a difference between the overnight success happening and then staying there.
Yes. Okay.
Right?
So let's talk about this with social media.
Yeah.
Obviously, social media can be a bit of a highlight reel.
Absolutely.
In our previous episode, we talked about like authenticity on social media, imposter syndrome, those kind of things. So it's like the image that you're curating online. So oftentimes social media is showing like what people want them to see. It's the highlights, the best case.
Yeah.
So therefore, you don't always see the struggles. So you don't see like the person struggling to get views or struggling to get likes, struggling to get followers. You just see them at that point of peak, success. Right? And if like someone's a well-followed person on social media, like someone really famous or popular, you've already you're now coming to knowledge of them at a point where they've already gone through that struggle.
Yeah.
So you're looking at them at like the end. You're not looking at the sort of like journey they've taken to get to where they are. And I think that's really important, like to just acknowledge that they have been on a journey to get to where they are.
And people often think that, if they can do it, I can do it. But I don't know to what extent they're prepared to put in the early mornings, the late nights, the repetition of conversations. For example, for some of you that are watching this, you might be a business with 10, 15, 20 people, or you might be a business of one or two, and you're navigating the conversation of constructive feedback, or navigating the algorithms or data. How do we manage that to make content successful? People don't see the time and energy that you spend with your team alone in the background until that one post performs, right? I know we have one of our clients that hit 150 million on one of the reels.
Views on one reel,
Like, how many months of effort, strategy, planning, testing went into that?
Yeah.
For people that might think, he's just great at what he does.
Right, but also, isn't it interesting because like for that specific client, they had like a viral piece of content, and then they grew like by like 60K followers. Because of like a couple of viral pieces of content, which was pretty dramatic
decent.
growth,
That's awesome.
like 60K increase.
Yeah.
But then sometimes what people think is then that will just keep happening.
Yeah.
Like every reel is going
It's an expectation, right?
Every reel is going to bring them 60K new followers. Well, it doesn't always happen that way, right? So I think like there's the myth of overnight success, and there's also the myth of, I don't know, almost like everything's going to keep happening in that way. But there's many reasons why it won't keep happening in that way, or reasons why maybe it will fluctuate. And I think like social media is a little bit of a game. Like I want to say that
Absolutely.
it is a bit of a game, because you have to realize that it's always changing.
The heartbeat monitor, right? You've got the up, you have the down, you have the valley period sometimes.
And we're gonna do like an episode later down the line talking about like the algorithm. You know, people think of the algorithm like it's like this big evil thing, and we're gonna unpack that a little bit. But the reality is, one thing is that you are, as a business brand or individual on social media, you're kind of like, you are competing for attention, as we've sort of mentioned in the past. You're competing for attention with other people on social media, trying to get attention. Sure. You're trying to stop the scroll, right? So everyone's scrolling through their content, they're scrolling on their phones. They're like, they've only got a finite bit of time, and you want to command that attention, grab that attention whilst people are on the platform and push them wherever you want them to go. Like for our clients who tend to be service-based businesses, they're going to try and push them somewhere. What you're thinking then is, if you're trying to catch that attention, why would you maybe one day catch attention and maybe not another day? And there's so many things happening that could be affecting that.
Detrimental for sure.
Posting time, an algorithm change, a platform like reconfiguration, who's actually on Instagram at that point of the day, or on TikTok or on Facebook. So there's so many different things going on, and I think you have to think like social media is an art, not a science, right? But there's some science behind it. Like you can monitor the metrics, you can do things to like make it more predictable. And there are elements that become predictable when you sort of start to learn what's working, and you can do replication. But it is an art, not a science.
Absolutely.
Right?
And you can't read too much into it, right? You can't read too much into the metrics. You can't really bet everything on the data that the platform's giving you.
It helps you like curate your content.
That's
like
it.
For us, when we're working with clients, we monitor the metrics.
Exactly.
But it's like it's an art because we monitor the metrics. That's the sort of maybe the science in what we do. And then what we do is we like use our personal touch, our inspiration to make it do different things and to test different things.
And grow. I think one of the things that I want to unpack here is we talked a little bit about the heartbeat monitor of going up and down. What do you think about those seasons where people do think in their mind, all of my content is going to perform just as good, if not better, as my last piece of content? How would you reframe perhaps our viewers' mindset on every single time they jump in front of the camera to navigate, okay, forget about the 15 million view video, it's a new video, how do I approach it?
Yeah, I think it's great once you've had a piece of viral content because it shows that you've resonated with more people, right? So you've hit a wider audience pool, and you've been able to tap into a bigger sphere on the online stage.
Yeah.
But what you have to weigh up is when you're trying to develop your personal brand or your company's brand online, like the image you're trying to present, it's more important to get your message right and develop that over a long period of time and develop a consistent following, a consistent engaged community than like that one viral piece of content is telling you something. Many people don't go viral on every single post,
absolutely not.
right? Like even the top creators, they'll have like a benchmark level of what their posts get.
Yeah.
And that's like their benchmark, right?
Yeah.
So they're either always getting in the 20Ks, the 50Ks, the 100Ks, 200Ks,
The sweet
the
spot.
millions, whatever it is.
That's it.
They've got their sweet spot. And then all of a sudden they might have one that goes,
Yeah.
that viral post, that's
Yeah.
broadening your audience. And then of those new people who you've caught their attention, some of those are going to become new loyal followers or new loyal people part of your community. And then some of them are not.
just drop out.
They're just going to drop out.
That's
Yeah.
it.
And you don't need to really worry about always retaining them. You just need to worry about like the people that are your key followers, your community members,
Exactly.
or like if you're a business, the people who are your perfect clients, that's the ones you want to gain the attention of. Like, so, you know, say we upload this podcast, this hits like 1 million people, but a percentage of that 1 million would be our key client. We actually care more about that key client percentage that we can convert than we would care about the like the million other people that wouldn't really. So I think it's like important for businesses and individuals who are building their personal brands, like anyone who is trying to grow on socials for the purpose of selling their services. I think it's really important to just remember that it's more about creating a following that's going to convert than focusing on like just hitting the millions. Like it's more about the percentage you're converting than the masses.
The niche, exactly. The people that really follow you, the people that support you, the community that you build. And I think this is another thing that we'll talk about in a later episode is building community, building platform that is followed by people that support what you're doing, engage with the content, but more than that, are constantly seeking more out of you. Whether that's if you're a coaching business, you might be doing some sort of, coaching business, fitness, whatever it may be. People are constantly looking for more. So I like that. And saying that, I think one of the biggest things that I want to unpack today is the challenges behind some of the rapid growth. What should people expect, number one, and what would some of those challenges be?
So I think you touched on this a little bit before. It's like if you produce a viral piece of content, some people can feel that pressure to like constantly perform at that level. And that can result in like a burnout or like disappointment. You know, so because your reel hit like multi-millions, you then get disappointed that your other reels are hitting the hundreds of thousands. But if you're consistently if like you were originally only hitting a couple of thousand and now you're hitting 100,000, even though your one post hit millions, the fact that your consistent benchmark has grown, that's a better indicator than that one viral piece of content. So like that's one of the things I look at for some of our clients. If their benchmark has grown and like the last 20 posts have hit a much higher amount, that's a better indicator of growth than that one piece of viral content. And
what's interesting is you said that, and we talked about in our previous episode about imposter syndrome, which again, go and have a look, take a look at the end of this clip. Do you think that also could be a reason for imposter syndrome, where people go viral? That it creates an expectation, and a video 2 drops, doesn't really perform, or maybe performs worse than their average videos.
Yeah.
Do you think that also does balances?
It could be. And also, like, I know for a fact, right? Say you've got a piece of content that's trending and going viral.
Yeah.
Your, like, the algorithm will naturally push more, like, put more behind that piece of content. So it'll push people there. So if you then post after, like, while something's going viral, it might perform worse than it even would usually. We've seen that, right? Like
we've seen it with us, with our clients.
Like when that client's content is going viral, like, and it is viral, it's trending, we notice then like a downward turn of like the content that's being posted as that's going. But it's still important to, like, you have to weigh it up, right? Like, depending on the different strategy of that account. It's still good to keep posting because it's showing your consistency.
Absolutely.
And consistency overweighs a single viral post.
That's exactly it. Say that again. Say that again. That's wild.
Yeah, consistency overweighs a single viral post. That's it, right? Because I think we what we want to help our clients do and what we want to encourage is that you're wanting to build a consistent online presence with a consistent engaged audience, which you can then target for whatever you're trying to sell from your business.
That's it.
Because that's going to be what produces results for you.
Because at the end of the day, if you cast a wide enough net, not everybody in that net will be your ideal client or customer or even follower, right?
Yeah.
And there's no worse feeling than having 1 million views and staying at the same follower count or the same engagement. It just means you're not converting people.
Or no one clicked through.
That's it,
no one
right?
purchased, right? Because
what
that
is the
means,
point?
like, well, something's broken then in your system. Like, we deal with socials, right? But we don't deal with like back end marketing. And sometimes we've seen like clients are going viral on socials. They're
capturing a lot of people.
Their followers are growing consistently, and yet they're like, oh, but they're not clicking through to sales. And I'm like, well, then there's probably a problem with your funnel because
the
that's
offer,
where
the messaging.
Something's breaking down.
For sure.
So you've got to figure out why.
Yeah.
And it's about figuring out, like in anyone's business, it's about figuring out where your gaps are or where's the hiccup. Like we're doing this for ourselves, right? Like you know, if you've got like a funnel, you want to figure out where are people stopping. What's that thing you told me about? Like the thing like when someone's going down the funnel that you can see where they stopped.
Yeah, there's a tool. I can't remember exactly what the name of the tool is, but you basically connect it to your website, and every time you drive traffic to it, you can see exactly what pages your prospect is going to, what buttons they're clicking on, what paragraphs of the content they're hovering over,
and
meaning they're reading.
They click off and
if they click off, you know that, okay, they've spent time reading this paragraph, which could be a CTA, book a call, whatever it is, and it doesn't convert. You know, okay, your copy, your message is not clear or is not enticing enough, right?
So there's amazing tools out there to figure out where are people dropping off.
But the thing on this as well is I want to touch really quickly, financially, this could really be either make it or break it.
Yes.
Right?
And like, I think this is the thing with overnight success, which is what we're talking about, right? Like most people who are successful, okay, I'm not saying that there are people who like hit onto something, right? You do something and it like takes
very
off
small
quick.
percentage.
Small percentage, but they do. There are these like ponies, like, what do we call them? Unicorns.
Unicorns.
Ponies. These unicorns. And the unicorns are doing something spectacular. But even for the unicorn, they've still got to fulfill.
Oh my gosh. That's
so
it.
like once they've like and then it's going to be like their fulfillment is going to become their testimonial, and their testimonial is going to be the encourager to keep growing. So like, I think like my view is like overnight successes aren't really a thing. And basically, if you scale really quickly as a business or like as if you've got like an offer and you suddenly get loads of traffic to it and everyone's trying to buy off you. Yeah. If your systems internally aren't perfect, it's going to break anyway.
That's it.
So that comes back to the whole point, right? Because if someone's been successful with an offer, they've still got to fulfill.
That's it.
They've still got to provide that service.
They have to build a process.
And then they've got to keep doing it in order to grow as a business. So it's kind of like explaining the whole situation for itself.
It's a circle. And I think one of the important parts to take away from this point here is that as you're growing, as you're establishing yourself, you do have to keep up with the processes that you have, with the SOPs that you're creating, with the management style you have in place, because eventually as you scale, you're going to need that. We've had this with eStudios. Thank God we're really good with processes and knowing when to introduce a process, when to remove a process, and so on. But I think that's
the thing, like we're developing all the time as a business. So that's what, for like our clients, right? Let's like bring it down to this. So
for sure.
We've got clients, they're either in a startup phase or a scale phase, and there's a lot of grinding going on in that process, right? So like if this is you and you're in that grind phase, let's talk about how to stay motivated. And equally, let's talk about the clients who are grinding at socials and they're not seeing those results that they really want to see. Like they are posting consistent content, they're recording consistent content, and then they're just like, they're not hitting the mark. How do they stay motivated? And when they've got like, we've got our client managers, shout out to our client managers and our social media assistants. They're always trying to motivate our clients, encourage them to like pivot and change and try new things and like stay up to date and like keep recording content. Like if you're facing that sort of grind, you can sometimes be hitting like not a burnout, but you're like getting a bit worn out.
That's it.
How do you stay motivated?
Yeah, I think it goes back to your vision, your goal, your purpose, and really rooting purpose over passion. Like if, for example, these studios, we really want to help people communicate their message, their mission, their vision, their purpose through video content. Excellent, high level, high quality, in-depth, captivating video content, right? We want to stay rooted in that. So whatever your business might be, you need to establish your purpose, double down on that. And no matter what the algorithm tells you, your performance tells you, tweak and change the process that ultimately goes back to, I want to help people, I want to coach people,
so
whatever it may be.
So why are you doing what you do?
Exactly.
Yeah, we've had a client with us for a while, and like his whole thing is like the rationale behind why he's doing what he's doing is because he wants to help like families become wealthy, like or like develop wealth, right? So he's got this goal in his mind. So that's his purpose. So even when he's feeling less passionate about creating content, he doesn't give up on his business and he doesn't give up on his purpose. He just keeps going because it
drives him.
It's his driver, and it's going to last longer. It's going to sustain longer. So like, I guess for people listening, if they've got a business or they've got a personal brand and they're getting fatigued in the social media whirlwind, their encouragement to keep going is like, what's your why behind what you're doing, doing? So like, why did you start your business in the first place?
Absolutely.
And if like you've got a good purpose as to why, even if it's just that you don't want to be in like a corporate landscape anymore and you want to be an entrepreneur so that you have a better life balance, that's still a good enough purpose.
Remind yourself of how it feels to be back in that place, right? That you don't want to be at.
Go back to the beginning. Why did you start what you're doing? And then let that be your driver. And then maybe like, don't be scared to fail. Don't be scared to have to adapt. Like one of our other clients, he's got a great message. He's got a great story actually. But like sometimes it's been hard figuring out how to help him best present his story because it doesn't necessarily resonate with a huge audience. So how can we make his story resonate with more people, but also help him figure out that maybe he has got a niche audience pool, and therefore it's fine if like the multi-millions don't resonate, but if he can develop his niche community that are engaged, that want to tap into that and therefore convert to a client, that's more important.
Absolutely. And I echo that. And I think one of the important parts you also want to consider is always trying to surround yourself with a community, people, entrepreneurs or target audience that is for the goal or mission you're trying to chase after. One of the things I like to say to our team in particular is fall forward. If you fail so quickly that you know what tripped you,
love that.
To be able to very quickly know next time I see this thing, I'm not going to trip over it. I'm going to step over it
Yeah.
and learn very quickly. And this is the thing I want you guys to take away is feedback loops are so important. And the quicker you understand how to see them, navigate them, and take action not to repeat them, that would be great. I'd rather have you make 1,000 mistakes so long you don't make the same one twice.
Yeah.
Right?
That's such a good way to look at it. And like, I think coming back to that, the pressure of like viral content, for example, or if you have one piece of content that does exceedingly better than what you would normally do, that becomes your mountain. But like what we try to encourage is like that steady growth and consistency, and to celebrate the micro wins. Because if you celebrate the little wins, for example, on average this month, we've gone up by X amount, rather than focus on like always hitting your mountain, you're going to be able to sustain with more momentum than if like you always focus on the big win. So let's like translate this to like an analogy. Like you're a gym guy, you like to go to the gym. So tell me, like maybe you do like a really great gym session, but that's not your norm.
No.
Right? Like, for example, you said this to me the other day, actually, like about champions and stuff. Like
champions do daily what average people do occasionally.
Okay, right. So if I'm an average person, I would just go to the gym every now and again. But if I was a champion, I do consistently.
No matter if it's raining or snowing or whatever.
Even if it's smaller than what that person did once in a blue moon. So if we look at socials in the same way, the champions of social media are consistent in what they deliver daily. And even if it's smaller, than trying to always make a big splash and being inconsistent in that.
So what does that look like? Liking, engaging with other accounts, posting regularly?
Yeah, posting regularly. I think like one thing that we always do with our clients is we develop like a content calendar, isn't it? Like the social media managers and the assistants and the client managers, they always bring it all back to the content calendars, because if you can stay consistent, like it doesn't like, and I think like YouTube is a good example of this, right? It's more important to consistently post like one video a week than try and post 5 videos a week, post 5 one week, one next, 4 the next, 2 the next. Like you need to sort of like train the algorithm.
That's it.
And remain consistent. But if you can't keep up the momentum of posting like 5 times a week, or if you're looking at Instagram, if you can't keep up with the consistency of posting 7 times a week, drop it down to 5, drop it down to 3, drop it down to 1. It doesn't really matter. Just teach your audience what to expect from you.
And when to expect it.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's like we always like laugh about ChatGPT, don't we?
That's it.
And we say like you have to train ChatGPT to know what to expect from you and what you want from it as an output. In the same way, when you're building a brand online, you need to like train your audience what to expect from you. So if you keep delivering the same, then it becomes like it becomes consistent, and your audience know what to expect from you. Whereas if you're like really inconsistent and all over the place, they don't really know then, do they? So then and that comes back to like trust and reliability, because if they trust that you're going to produce that content,
they're eager for it, aren't they?
And they know what to expect from you.
So let me break this down for a second, because I'm sure some of our audience will ask this question. So we talked about imperfect action in one of the previous episodes. And we're talking about posting consistently. And we've just mentioned content calendar. For businesses or content creators that are trying to experiment, how would you navigate having a monthly content calendar and staying on top of the trends? Because I think this is a stigma I've noticed with some of our clients. They will stick too much to the content calendar in posting, to the point where they will miss trends or miss riding the wave. How would you navigate that?
I think like it's all about balance. The best examples I can give, we always encourage people to have like evergreen content. So if you can have evergreen content that aligns with like your content plan and stick to like your content pillars. So it's like, I'm going to focus on these 3 topics or 5 topics or 6 topics. Like if you fixate on those things, then what you should do is create freedom to dip into trends if you have the ability and the time. So like everyone's capacity is different. A lot of our clients are business owners or they're businesses themselves, and they don't always have the ability to just jump on a trend. However, like what we try to do is develop evergreen content that can be utilized to then jump into trends for someone who doesn't have that availability.
Yeah.
But equally, it's about like having your consistent benchmark and then maybe being creative in how you dip into trends.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
Do you see
Absolutely.
what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I think you've just got to create room for the creativity and not be too rigid, but also like you have to be realistic with yourself. And I think everyone's on a different, everyone's got different availability of how much time they can give to creating content.
Yeah.
So you've got to kind of balance that.
Yes, absolutely. And it just made me think about, you mentioned Evergreen. For those of you that are not in kind of in line with some of that language, is evergreen content is a piece of content that would be producing results for time and time again, basically for a longer period of time. Now, sometimes when you post specifically maybe on YouTube or podcasts, long form content, something that might not perform today, next month, in 3 months, might actually perform in a year or 2 or 3 and so on. I have so many experiences with previous clients where, you know, they filmed a piece of content, something that was really awesome, and that same year it didn't perform. Now it's where all of their business comes from, which is interesting. So
I just want to like talk about a couple of overnight successes, like, or people that maybe like people think that person's an overnight success. So like, let's look at the most wealthy man in the world, Elon Musk.
Let's go.
Yeah, he might appear to someone who doesn't know his story as like an overnight success because they've only known about him in the recent years. Yeah. So they think of him and they think about Tesla. But what they don't realize is like he's the person who founded PayPal, right? And then he sold PayPal. But before he founded PayPal, he was like doing other businesses. And I don't know all his history in and out on this conversation. But the fact is, there's a lot of people who are successful, but they were building something in the background before they did that thing that made them successful. Yeah. Like another example is like Ben Francis. He's the guy who founded Gymshark. Yeah. So he built...
What a story, by the way.
Amazing story. Yeah. So like he built Gymshark in his garage. Yeah. And he was fulfilling it himself, like one-man band kind of thing. Yeah. Before it became like $1 billion company.
That's it.
And now, like, Gymshark's one of the most well-known, like, sportswear, athleisure brands. Yeah. But the thing is, we have to remember that his story started with him grinding. Yeah. Let's think of another one. I don't know. Stephen Bartlett. Yeah, we spoke about him before. Yeah. You know, he's now Dragon's Den. He's like got his own podcast. He's now this massive guy. But he was just like a guy in his youth, like his 20s. Who started his own agency before it ever grew, right? So like people don't always see the come up, but they see like the end goal. And the encouragement to anyone watching today is if you're in that like nitty gritty grinding stage where you're like building your brand on social media as well to support your business and you're trying to get those sales in, that consistency is going to be what helps you like go the extra mile. I remember someone saying that to me once, like they were like, most people at the top, it's not because they're special in one sense. Yeah. It's just because they stuck at it.
That's it. The way I like to think about it, just as you mentioned this, is almost like, I don't know what they call, like long swimmers? Swimmers that like swim long lengths? I don't know. You know how they basically, they come up for a breath, and they do like 10 strokes and they come back again.
It's like a marathon runner.
Basically, you're starting and you're not catching a break up until you've done X amount of what your body can produce or what your mind can produce. And keeping going, just doubling down on, you know, it's great to see the final product is having the business, being the CEO, making millions. Yeah. But you're not quite there yet. So put your head down, be with your team, have your meetings.
On the detail.
That's it.
Yeah. Like I think it's as well like turtle and the hare. Right, story.
Exactly. Yeah,
so it's like the hare was running, but the hare like ran out of steam, and then the turtle was the one who crossed the finish line because the hare took a nap or something like that. I can't remember it fully, but something along those lines. Meanwhile, like a marathon runner runs at a slower pace to a sprinter. Yeah. Right? But the marathon goes for further. The marathon runner goes for further. Yeah. So like I think it's the same in business. So like we've had that experience where started the business. We were on like a trajectory of growth. We were growing really fast.
Yeah.
I fell pregnant.
Yeah.
I had to pivot to focus on making the business operational without me for a season.
Yeah.
Step back from the business. You stepped up in the business. We had to focus on our operations internally. And then now we're at a point where we've been able to grow again, focus back on sales, focus back on bringing in new clients. But we had that period. So we went like sort of up. We sort of leveled out for a little bit. And now we're growing again. Yeah. So like, that's longevity, right? Like that ability to pivot. And so I think like a marathon runner, it's about finding your pace and going the length of the journey, not sprinting and stopping.
Absolutely.
Right? Because there's a lot of great people who will start big on social media, they make a big splash, and then they give up. And it's like, I've been there. I'm not like dissing those people because I've been there.
Yeah, sure.
But it's about finding your pace and like working with someone who can maybe help you sustain it, help you set it. Yeah. Not trying to over deliver or over promise, but just keep going steadily because that's when you'll start to see the traction.
And the interesting thing, just thinking about this, is some people get a little bit of traction in their business or in their process or in their content, and they get into this mindset that, I've made it. And they get satisfied, and very quickly they realize, wait a minute. Not quite true.
Yeah.
At what point do you make it? I've been doing a lot of research around some of these big podcasters and their longevity. I'm sure it's really hard for Stephen Bartlett to be getting all of these really high caliber guests on his podcast. Do you think he's just settling and they come to him? No,
he's constantly going after them and
elevating his content, elevating the setting, where he's filming, how he's filming, the questions he's asking,
and he hasn't stopped, right?
Because he keeps going.
The reality is, like, he could just say, now I'm going to stop and I'm just going to not keep going after new guests, but he keeps going.
That's it.
So there we are. Sort of where we're at now, I feel like we know that overnight success is a myth, really. Real success is a marathon, not a sprint.
That's it.
So if you're on that journey, you've got to embrace your journey, keep going. We're behind you. So get someone who's in your corner.
That's it.
An agency, a team that are going to be like cheering you on.
That's it. And if you don't have one, some of the links of our Instagram, our socials, our websites are down below. So take a look, subscribe. We have a newsletter that is out. So if you want to hear all about the latest tips, tricks, strategy, make sure to subscribe. And there is so much more coming. So we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks, guys.